Sam Murray again, coming to you from Freedom Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church. And this is another episode of Bible Questions, where we look at questions in the Bible, questions that people ask God and questions that God asks people. When people ask a question to God, it's because they want to know something or they have a burden on their heart for many, many reasons. But when God asks questions to people, it's not because God needs information, it's because He's trying to get our thinking lined up with His thinking. All right. Freedom Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church is located at 401 West Sullivan Street in Kingsport, Tennessee. We'd love to have you come worship with us. Sunday school at Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock regular worship service, 6 o'clock the evening worship service, and on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, we have prayer meeting where our people actually take prayer requests and turn them into prayer assignments for themselves every day during the week. All right. On Saturday mornings, we feed hungry people. If you're hungry, you need hot food, or you need food to take home to your family, you come by, be at our door at 9:30 Saturday morning, and we'll serve from 9:30 until 10:30, 11, until the last person is served. And you can have a hot food, and food to take home if you have a way to cook it. No questions asked. Just, hey, I want some, here you go. It's just that simple. Sharing the love of Jesus Christ with other people for their physical needs and hoping that they'll listen to us about Jesus, be able to meet their spiritual needs. All of our services, religious worship services and so forth are online, and they're on YouTube and on our app. We have a church app, and we have our website, freedomfellowshipmbc.com, and so we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on other platforms, and you can catch all of our services either live or go back in the archives and find them. All right. We also have two services or two broadcasts that are just online. There's Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. Brother Jim Perkins does prayer time where he reads scripture, has some music, goes down to a prayer list, and any new prayer requests that you can type in through the comments right there directly online in real time, he'll take those and add that and pray for them. And then, of course, this one on Thursday nights at 7 p.m., Bible Questions. Now, the question tonight is a question that Jesus asked one of his disciples in front of all the other ones, so he's really asking all of them, but he's asking specifically, he says, where can we buy bread that all these people can eat? Where can we buy bread that all these people can eat? Why would Jesus ask that question? Jesus is God, he knows that. Is he asking where can we find some day-old bread? Where can he, what's the latest Walmart or convenience store? Is that what he's asking? No, he's asking a question to set something up. The question comes from John chapter 6, verse 5. John chapter 6, verse 5. Jesus said, whence shall we buy bread that these may eat? Actually, he says, Jesus lifted up his eyes and saw a great company and come unto him, and he saith unto Philip, whence shall we buy bread that these may eat? Now, why did he ask this question? And what happened afterwards? If we want to understand anything in Scripture, we don't pull one verse out of isolation. We look at the context, what came before it, what came after it. John chapter 6, beginning in verse 1 through 4, John chapter 6, verses 1 through 4, we see the context. Jesus had been teaching and had healed many people, and crowds of people began following him because he had healed so many people. John chapter 6, starting verse 1. After these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias, and a multitude followed him because they saw his miracles which he did on them that were diseased. Again, they were following him because they saw the miracles of healing many people that were diseased. Verse 3, and Jesus went up into a mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. And the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was nigh. So Jesus had been teaching, he had healed many people, he moved to another place, and people followed him there because they had seen many people healed, and he's got a huge multitude, a huge crowd there listening to him teach. That leads up to verse 5 and verse 6. Jesus asks a question intentionally to prove or to test or to educate Philip, and of course the other disciples are hearing that, so Philip along with all the rest of them. Jesus talks in John 5 and 6, and he gives the reason. John chapter 6, verse 5 and 6. When Jesus then lifted up his eyes and saw a great company come unto him, he said unto Philip, whence shall we buy bread that these may eat? Now he may have asked Philip because Philip is from that area. He's from Bethsaida, near there. Or he just may have chose Philip for another reason, don't know. Verse 6, and this he said to prove him, for he himself knew what he would do. Meaning test or educate, to prove. He picked Philip out for this reason. To prove, to test, to educate him. Now, Philip answers Jesus' question, and Philip's kind of scratching his head like, wow, you asked a big question here, Lord. Philip, in verse 7, Philip answered him, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little. Philip said it'd take 200 pennies worth. All right, and a penny back in that day was a day's wage. A day's wage. So he's saying it takes a little bit over 6 months of wages to buy enough food for all these people to have just a little bit. Philip is saying it's pretty much beyond our human ability right here, Lord. I don't have the money. We don't have that much. You're asking a lot. It's beyond our human capability. Now, in verse 8, Andrew starts looking around to do whatever he can. Verse 8, one of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said unto him, there is a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, but what are they among so many? So Andrew heard it. He started doing what he could. He looked, hey, Lord, I found a kid that has this much, 5 loaves and 2 fishes, but that's not going to go very far either. So Philip and Andrew both looking, Lord, our human abilities are very limited. This is beyond, what you're asking is beyond our ability to do, which is exactly why Jesus asked it. So they would see what he's asking to do here is beyond their ability, but it's not beyond his ability. Because in the following verses, in verses 9 through 13, Jesus goes ahead and he multiplies these bread and these fishes, and he feeds over 5,000 men, plus women and children. And this is recorded also in Matthew 14, verses 13 through 21, Matthew 14, verse 13 through 21, Mark 6, verses 34 through 44, Mark 6, verses 34 to 44, and in Luke 9, verses 10 through 17. Luke 9, verses 10 through 17. So we have here in all 4 Gospels this episode of Jesus feeding 5,000 men, plus women and children, and having 12 baskets of leftovers afterwards. And what he's doing here is he's showing them, look, I'm able to go way beyond your needs. I'm able to go way beyond whatever you can do. I'm able to go way beyond what's impossible for you. I am more than able, far more than able, to do what I want done, to enable, to empower, to happen what I want done, and it's beyond your abilities. Jesus is showing them, demonstrating, teaching them, growing them to understand he's God. And he is able to go far beyond human abilities. If he's asking for something that's humanly impossible, he's able to make it happen. What a lesson to learn about the Jesus they were following. What a lesson for us to learn about the Jesus we're following. Jesus asked the question so they would look and see, Lord, what you're asking us to do is not possible for us. It's beyond our abilities. And then they were ready to see that it's not beyond his ability. What a beautiful lesson. What a thing Jesus set up with a simple question, where can we buy food to feed all these people? And then they learned that Jesus is able. All right, that's a good lesson. Now, next week, our question is someone that asked Jesus a question, what shall we do that we might work the works of God? They had seen Jesus work a bunch of miracles, and they're asking him, what should we do that we can do these works? All right, if you like studies like this, that look at the scriptures, look at what happened before the verse, look at what happened after the verse, so we totally understand what that verse actually means, then hit like, hit share, and tell people about it. All right, let us know. And we'll do this question next week. People want to know, what can we do